Trio 5, MIA, Dean County. Y'all already know what time it is. Throw them U's up. Throw them U's up. We gonna let the band deal with this.
All right, guys, welcome back. I thought last week was going to be a special episode, and I thought Andrew was going to just do a one-time thing, but I think it really works well with the way that Andrew did it last time. What I really want Andrew to do is, I put it in the description of the last video, is I want Andrew just to play devil's advocate. It was more of his idea of the teams for Miami throughout the rest of the season. I mean, obviously, I'll be the Miami perspective, and then he'll come in. I mean, I know most of the teams in the ACC pretty well, but I think Andrew, at least, he'll just have that completely. That'll be his only focus, and I'll kind of talk about Miami throughout the rest of the season specifically. But, man, I don't know how else to start this with what happened on Saturday, fellas.
Well, I know how to start it, and
Well,
I
of course.
have to start it.
Go
If you're
ahead.
watching, that's all I'm gonna do.
You're just a loser, dude. Oh, my God.
That's all I'm gonna do. That's it. That's it.
We'll just break down the game, and then we'll talk about some stats, and then I want to talk about where Miami's at currently after the game.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's a lot of fans that are really down on where we're at right now. But we'll just kind of jump it off. What college football did with the 150th thing, making it about Miami and Florida, was really sick, and it was really good to see. Like on College Game Day, you had guys like Tim Tebow, Michael Irvin, Steve Spurrier, all like talking like they were best friends essentially. But I really hate Camping World Stadium. I know a lot of fans that went there said it was absolutely the worst. And I went to the old Orange Bowl where you had to walk like 3 miles to get to your car. And they said it was like worse than that. Like it was terrible parking. But enough about that. Game kicks off. And I'm just going to talk about what Miami did schematically on that first drive.
Schematically.
I'm
This is
gonna tell
the
you,
engineer. For all of you who are watching, this is the engineer and Tyler coming out.
Yes.
And now we're back to here. Oh, that's the magic of cameras.
Man, I haven't seen Miami's offense look like that in my lifetime. I'm 24. I didn't get to see the 0-1 team and like remember it, but games that I remember seeing and watching, Miami has never looked like that ever. In terms of high power, modern offenses, it was a lot of just flats out to Brevin, get your playmakers in space. You couldn't really run the ball all game, although we did some pretty good plays. It was a lot of flats. It was a lot of motions. They were coming out in formations, switching into different ones, making it really easy for Jaron in his first, which they've practiced that first drive. There's no telling how many times in practice.
Yeah, and I think the play actions to Dallas and to bringing in Tate and a lot of that helped get some open space.
Yeah.
You guys had a lot of opportunity for open space, and when you guys
if we'd have scored a touchdown on that first drive, I think the game would have been over.
Oh yeah, mentally, yeah.
Yeah,
Miami went in it, ready to play. Well, both teams did.
There was a little setback, so we wind up driving most of the length of the field, and we get a field goal out of it. And it's like, it's a field goal, but I literally texted everybody that I knew and was like, we have an offense. Like, this is the first time ever compared to what we had last season. But even James Coley's offense with Brad Kaya wasn't like that modern as you see Dan Enos' offense. He had a lot of fake jet sweeps to Jeff, and he had a lot to KJ, and there was a lot of good coming out of that. A lot of that offense, and it showed that Enos had some know-how of what an offense was supposed to look like.
Yeah, the only thing that I'll say about the very first opening drive is we've got Jaron Williams sacked by Miller for a loss of 7 yards. That first sack started what would be the most sacks since, I believe, 2008, and it was nasty.
Just to put it in perspective, Miami's 2001 team only got sacked 4 times all season.
Yeah. I really believe that 305 chain should have been on the Florida Gators. But we'll get to that.
305.
We'll get to that.
But then it's Florida comes back. Our DirecTV cut out. Like our power surge.
Yeah, so did mine.
Between the Miami's drive, he was in commercial and it cut right as it was coming back. And so we didn't see nothing. So I have to say to you, if you're a Miami fan, you probably have them on Twitter, and he like literally updates play by play, and I was like, Miami got a 3 and out. And then we were like waiting for it to load, and I was like, you're kidding me. They faked the punt. So I didn't even get to see the play. Oh. And we came back literally as they were kicking back off to Miami after the touchdown. And I was like, they faked the field goal. And Justin was like, you're kidding me.
Yeah.
Which is my brother. And then after that, I was like, you're kidding me. They 66-yard touchdown pass. I was like, how did they throw it that deep on Miami? But then you watch it, and it's even worse when he breaks like maybe 8 tackles.
Yeah, that was what is that? Tony, right? Number 1.
Yeah, probably their only good player on offense.
Well,
other than LaMichael Perrine. Perrine, that's what it is.
Yeah, Tony 66 yards for a touchdown. If we hadn't got that, I think the game would have went differently. But we just had great blocks.
If you 3 and out right there and Miami just scores, I don't know if Florida really has a hand in the game again.
Yeah, but that drive right there, he broke at least 5 tackles. He had good blocks.
On a Miami defense that's really well tackled. Like they tackle first contact pretty much every time. Very rarely do you break tackles like that against a Miami team. But I guess
I think, and we'll get into it, but I think the pressure got to both teams.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of first game jitters.
Yeah, being week 0, and especially with I was very wrong about how big the rivalry was. I thought it wasn't as big, but we'll get into that. I actually I went through Manny Diaz's press conference, and I want to include that at the end.
I watched like half of it before we came just a couple of hours ago.
Miami was not happy. This is the first time I've ever seen Miami fans so defeated.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that.
I just want to preface this. We're doing this on a Monday, the Monday after the game.
Yeah.
My ideal situation would be to do this on Sunday, but if I had to do this on Sunday, I may have not had a lot of good to say about where we're at. But it's like,
yeah.
You just let it go, get to where we are. And it's then after that, it all kind of really just bunches together. Where Florida, Miami forces turnovers in the sense that you had a screwed read option handoff with Felipe Franks and LaMichael Perrine.
Yeah.
And fumbles it. Miami gets it.
That was dumb.
And
it was like, you take the ball. No, you take the ball. No, you take the ball. And I'm like.
The second one was worse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But the first one was like, that's a mistake you make on a week 0. Like that's what that means. These guys haven't had one less week to prepare for each other than everybody, or not prepare for each other. They've had one less week to be a team than everybody. It's not like they still took the same amount of time preparing, but more than likely. But it's like we have to cut our learning short and more prepare for the next game, which I think is why you saw a lot of sloppiness from both teams.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll see on Saturday with some of the other teams.
Yeah, and still the pressure too.
Yeah.
Like I was watching. We'll get into that. I don't want to jump ahead. Hopefully you guys watched the game. First of all.
Yeah.
If you guys didn't watch the game, you need to go back and watch the whole game. This is the. I really thought we weren't going to get it.
Yeah, man.
I really was questioning.
I guess Miami forces a turnover, quote unquote, and then they unveil their turnover chain. Justin hated it.
I wasn't a fan of it. I like the old one, the big U.
Yeah, I really like the old one. I really think that one's the go-to, and I understand the thought process of Manny Diaz says it in his press conference that he wanted to keep it fresh, and all this stuff, and it's like, yeah, I really like the 305. It represents the city as a whole, but there's just something about the first one, man. If you could just make that one, because it looks a little worse compared to the one they had last year and the one they have now. But if you have the first one, I think it's like it just becomes a tradition, especially with a program that's so historically tradition-driven with players and whatnot.
And I honestly, in my personal opinion, I don't feel that Miami deserved the turnover chain until they got the interception later in the game.
That's true. That's fair.
I feel like they capitalized. They did get the fumbles. Each time Florida fumbled and did whatever they were doing, whatever Felipe did, I was questioning it. I'm like, dude, I don't know if Shaq came around the corner and he was like, no, Perrine, you take it. And I'm like, but Miami was quick to jump on the fumbles every time. And the second one, I don't know if you recall it.
Yeah.
I thought Florida had it.
Florida had it, definitely.
And Miami's down there fighting for it.
This is probably the worst referee game I've seen in my lifetime.
Yeah.
From both sides, too. Like, there were calls on Miami that should have been called. There were calls on Florida that should have been called.
Yeah.
I think there were more on Florida, in my opinion, obviously. But man, this is probably one of the worst referee games I've seen. And me and Justin were like, just hike the ball. Just hike it. Please. Just hike it before they blow the whistle. And why Dan Mullen doesn't challenge it or anything is just, that's also really a weird situation.
He was pretty casual to me.
Yeah, I feel like Manny Diaz was living up to the game.
Yeah.
I feel like Dan Mullen was staying at like a middle ground.
Which Dan Mullen kind of talked about, that he gave Felipe the steering wheel. He kind of put the team on his shoulders and kind of said, you're going out there, you're doing it.
Yeah.
He kind of gave him that responsibility. Not to do the whole team, obviously, but
no, I know what you're saying.
To drive the offense.
I just don't understand why.
Yeah. Now, Manny Diaz, I think it was second quarter, and the announcers were saying, Manny always said that he wasn't going to interfere with the defense. He was going to let, the defensive coordinators, do their thing. But, dude, second quarter when Manny Diaz is talking to the defensive players on the bench and, like, the veins coming out of his neck.
Yeah,
I had my notebooks out, and I was like, okay, Manny Diaz, second quarter, roid rage.
Yeah. Our defense wasn't doing the best. Y'all were kind of gripping it up the middle a little bit on runs and getting Tony involved a lot of different ways. You're going for it on fourth, which is just like, that just makes it worse when you stop them on third, and like that's your defense. You're like, just stop them on third down. That's it. And they're like, then you got to go out there on 4th and 3.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, they ran it on third down last time. Then it's just a complete guessing game. They line Tony up at running back, and he converts just on pure speed to the outside. But both of those turnovers, though, Miami only gets a field goal out of it. So then it is 7-6.
And what was it, the second drive? They had a delay of game on the field goal.
Yeah.
He kicked it, and the immediate call for delay game.
Yeah.
And, that was.
But yeah, I mean, it's there was a lot of just stuff happening on that offense. It felt like it was so hot in that first drive, and then it was like you see the reality situation. Left tackle Zion Nelson, I thought, played really well throughout the game, but John Campbell, he's without a doubt one of our worst players on the entire team. If he's our only starting right tackle, this season could be a pretty long one.
Actually, I forget who announced it. I forgot where I got this quote from. But they listed Zion Nelson started at left tackle and played the entire game. The former two-star recruit who flipped from Appalachian State to Miami last cycle allowed 7 quarterback pressures, according to the folks at Pro Football Focus, and graded out as UM's worst offensive lineman.
Well, that's also a lot of due to the fact that they were one-on-oneing with John Campbell. Just there's no use of overloading that side with a blitz if he's just not going to be able to block a single guy anyway. And then they were overloading an 18-year-old kid with blitz responsibility. Yeah. And that was like, he's an 18-year-old kid.
They left him in the entire game.
Yeah.
Do they not have anybody else?
I guess no. I mean, that's what we'll wind up talking about towards the end of the season is where Miami is at. There's a lot of positives, but it has a pretty grim future. But Florida then, I think Florida and Miami kind of trade possessions, and then Florida punts it and Miami downs it inside the 10 or on the 10. And Miami goes for what is probably the best drive I've seen from them in terms of plays that went positively, because I'm just going to pull out what happens on this play. So Dallas rushes for 4 yards. Williams throws for 5. Penalty, false start. John Campbell, 5 yards. Jeff Thomas runs for 16. That was a crazy play. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
Dead legs a guy and spins out of the other one for 16 for a first down.
Oh, yeah.
And Jaron Williams was then sacked for 7 yards. It's a timeout. Jaron Williams throws to Cam Harris for 2 yards. Jeff Thomas for 18, pretty critical. TJ Dallas goes for 1. Jaron Williams rushes for 8. Jaron Williams rushes for 1. A timeout. A sack of 9 yards. That screen pass. I forgot all about that. He throws that screen pass to Dallas, the little halfback slip screen, and Dallas catches it with one hand and runs 40 yards.
Yeah. That Joker's a tank.
Man,
a little tank.
DJ Dallas is a freak, bro. And then Jaron is sacked for like a 1 yard loss. Another timeout by Florida. Then was probably one of the better plays. Jaron Williams just like launches it over top of the lineman, and somehow the lineman tips it, and it still goes perfectly to Brevin, who was stuck in midair by a safety and breaks it and runs in. And that 90-yard play was a lot. I think that 90-yard play or 90-yard drive, I should say, is the epitome of an Enos offense of what we'll see more likely throughout the season, where we're not playing, because Florida is not a great team. I think you could say that.
No, yeah, for sure.
But I think Florida's definitely the hardest team Miami's going to play this season, other than Clemson in the ACC championship game, if they make it there. But I think that offense, what you've seen in that drive, is more likely what'll be what Miami team is, because that was a lot of there's a sweep to Jeff, a screen to Dallas, try to run with Dallas, nothing's happening. They were throwing in routes to Jeff. We're using Harley as decoy, going deep, and you're having 3 guys on Florida's defense going after the streak, and you got Jeff open right behind him. And I think one person that was really underutilized in this game was Mark Pope. I don't think he caught a pass. But yeah, that 90-yard drive was pretty critical in my opinion.
Yeah. And this is where I thought that Miami was coming back. Yeah. This is where I thought, okay, Manny's saying something to them. Enos is saying something to them to get them fired up.
If we didn't do something on that drive, I saw it get out of hand for
As soon as the turnover chain came out, whether, in my opinion, it was earned or not, it changed Miami's mentality.
Oh, yeah.
For the good. And then with this touchdown drive, we see the touchdown rings.
Yes.
I'm not a fan.
I like them.
They look like brass knuckles to me.
Well, I think that's the thing is the chain is so exclusive to the defense at this point that you got to have something. I think Manny Diaz says this in his press conference, that the chain is so exclusive to the defense, you got to have something for the offense.
Yeah.
And you have to reward them, so what do you do that's also quintessential Miami, and that's the 4 finger rings. Yeah. Which I think
I will say a chain is much better than a backpack. I'm not calling anybody out.
I'm glad we at least both hate Florida.
I'm just saying.
But what this offense really showed, too, is Jaron is as capable as they advertised him to be. His first drive shows that he's good. You could see little glimmers of that throughout the game, but then it was just like, boom. Like, here I'm standing in the pocket, he's stepping up, and he's just launching them to Jeff, launching them down the field and getting us some yards. And it shows that he's poised, although he knows that it's not going so well in his favor.
Yeah, and I think Tyler texted me, Tyler's exact words were, Jaron's good as long as he's not being chased like a wild hog.
Yeah.
And that was true. For Jaron to do so well in the pocket with what little time he had in the first half.
I think his adjusted quarterback percentage, I'm just going to throw this out there right now, even though we're in the middle of the game, but his quarterback adjusted percentage, which is balls that should have been caught, players dropped, it wound up being like 84%.
Wow.
And he went like 19 for 29 for like 214 at the end of the game.
Yeah, 19 for 30, 214.
I think this drive is a perfect
63%.
This perfect spot of this drive is to highlight him and what he really brought to the table, because it proves that he's got the poise, he's got the accuracy, and and the awareness of where the pocket is. Although he has some awareness issues once it really breaks down.
Yeah.
He's got to run out and really keep his eyes downfield and make something happen. But after that, I don't think it was kind of halftime.
A lot of the delay of games, though, with Jaron, that just comes with, the pressure.
Well, they said there was a real big problem with the play clocks at the game. Like, not problem as in they weren't showing, problem as in they're really hard to see.
Yeah.
Like, they're really small on the little side video board. And you got somebody like Felipe, who's been a quarterback for 2 years now.
Yeah, he's got experience.
And, he's got that know-how of, like, an internal clock in his head of what to do.
Yeah.
And it's also, I think, Dan Mullen was just getting it out quicker.
Yeah.
And then you got Enos with the first time back. And I think it's just more of the offense system as a whole on the delayed games.
Yeah, and I mean that goes back to what we talked about last week is you have an experienced 2018 Florida coming in looking good last year.
Yeah.
And then come into week 0 and almost beaten by unranked Miami.
Yeah.
That's not good in my eyes as a Florida fan. That's not good enough for number 8.
I want to talk about where Florida's going to wind up being because I honestly, as unbiased as I can really think, I don't think it's going to be a good season for you guys. Like,
it depends. I mean, it's still week 0.
Yeah.
Miami's got a lot to work on. Florida's got a lot to work on.
But as hype as Felipe Franks came in, he looked absolutely awful.
Yeah, we'll get
Other
into
than
that.
what deep pass he threw it towards the end.
Yeah, we'll get into that. I have a few things to bring up about him.
Miami they all exchanged drives, exchanged a couple field goals.
Yeah.
And then
this was kind of the slow point in the game.
Yeah, this is where this was right before halftime and right after halftime. Yeah. They were all kind of just still, feeling each other out with the changes they made after halftime. And then it's just, boom. The end-all, be-all of this game, I think, happens. Jeff drops a punt. It gives Florida the ball back on the 11-yard line. Yeah. Which ultimately Florida...
That ruined Miami's psyche.
Ruined Jeff. They showed he's just like crying.
Yeah, he was.
And
he was literally wiping the tears from his eyes on the sideline.
I think he's one of our best players on our team, and he's just like, his confidence is just shot.
And then he goes on later to drop the pass.
Yeah.
The game-winning pass.
And, yeah.
And the only reason why I brought that up now is because I want to talk about him. With him last season, like we talked about last week, missing the games, and then coming back week 0, having...
And essentially costing us 14 points.
Game-losing, mishaps.
He cost us basically 14 points.
Yeah.
Like, he drops the punt, y'all score.
Well, he cost you the game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then Miami, a little later down the road, they throw an out route in the end zone to Jeff. And Jeff, it's literally the most catchable ball. I've seen Jeff make that catch 3 or 4 times against an LSU team who has a really good secondary, and he just drops it. And it just takes the gut, just takes the air out of you, and it's just everybody's back on your train, and you essentially just cost us the game.
Yeah.
You don't want to say that, but
he was literally crying.
Yeah.
And that's, as soon as I saw him crying, and, Florida fans, football fans are ruthless.
Oh, yeah.
And me not being as much of a football fan, I can kind of step back and say, that shows you how much pressure they're under.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why this game, no matter how bad or good we can say that both teams were, they brought the best they could.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's just ultimately, I think it just shows where both programs are at. They want it so bad to be where both programs were.
Yeah.
That I think Miami is trying to get there. Florida's almost there. Florida's just got a couple more. I don't know if Dan Mullen can even get them there, honestly, but they've got a little ways. Their road is shorter to where they were, but Miami's is just everybody wants it so bad. And but that's the pressure that comes with being a Miami player.
Yeah.
In my eyes, you got Michael Irvin coming to your practice. You got Jimmy Johnson coming to your practice. There's a standard. And if you're not meeting it, then, man, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, and you got Sean Taylor coming to practice.
Oh, my God.
I missaid that last week. Do not hold that against me. But yeah, so the Florida touchdown drive, Felipe Franks.
What I really like is man, that's the game right there. But then Miami comes out and they just 3 plays, 75 yards.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's also this wildcat look we were seeing from Dallas with Tate on the field, who I think Tate played way too much. But he works on this wildcat jet sweep fake thing, and Dallas breaks like 5 tackles and runs it 50 yards for a touchdown.
Well, this is where is this where? Yeah, this is where Florida begins their pass interference penalties. The beginning. Because they have the kickoff, Jaron pass incomplete because of a pass interference,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just keeps going from there.
Yeah, Dallas rips off that run, and I think we're going to just stop right here to talk about Dallas. Because I think Dallas is more of our lifeline now this season than Jeff will be. Considering this is one game of data, but Dallas was our lifeline. Dallas ran for 95 yards and caught for 40-something. So, I mean, that's a lot of total offense on a defense that, whether or not they're good or not, remains to be seen. But on an offensive line that couldn't block at all, he's a lifeline, I think, for this team right now.
Yeah, and also before he breaks that 50-yard run, we've got it's 2nd and 14 at Miami's 35. Florida penalty, unsportsmanlike conduct. 15 yards, first down.
I don't even remember what that one was. I think that one was on Jaron. Jaron ran out of bounds.
It was DJ Dallas run for loss of 4 yards, and then we get the unsportsmanlike conduct.
I think the play was Jaron, because they wiped the play clean. Like, the play doesn't happen.
Oh, that's when he hit him when he ran out of bounds.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they hit Jaron out of bounds. And
yeah, it was a late hit for sure.
Which is not the first bonehead play Florida made out of bounds
in
the game. But I think what that just I really liked the look with Tate coming in and running the Wildcat, especially with Jaron being like back there for a double pass or whatever. But that Wildcat just seemed to work for like 5+ yards every time.
Yeah.
And it was almost like just run the Wildcat for all I care.
Yeah.
Because that was the only thing that was working. But
this could be my stupid moment. But Florida was mostly playing zone coverage, right?
No, they're a very press man coverage team.
Because for this Wildcat, maybe it wasn't this Wildcat play. The plays earlier in the game.
What they might have done towards the end is they might have switched to a more zone-heavy scheme and just, find the hole when you don't have time to.
Because, the big plays that Miami had, your tight ends were just not covered at all.
Yeah, I think it was it's literally Jaron is catching the pass in a shotgun, and there's a guy there. Okay. He's, turning around to hand it off to Jeff, or not to Jeff, but to, Dallas or Cam Harris, and they're just getting creamed. Yeah. And it's just it's not like Jaron's standing there too long getting sacked. Jaron literally gets in his drop back off a play fake, and they're hitting him.
Yeah.
He's having to step up, and he's having to out-muscle a defensive lineman. And it's a real bad look. And Enos' play calling kind of goes down because it's rightfully so, because what are you supposed to do when your right side, the dude's getting there instantly, and they're just overloading your left tackle, who's 18 years old, who's a 2-star prospect, and it's man.
Yeah.
I don't think Zion Nelson played bad. I know he grades really bad, but I think for what he had nobody giving up sacks. He had to pick that. It just leaves one guy wide open on Jaron, and it's just, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, that's true.
Then I think they trade some possessions again.
Well, after that is when DJ Dallas hits that 50-yard run, breaks 30 tackles, and there's not 30 players, but he's breaking everybody. Also, we forgot to talk about when Dallas is basically crawling on the ground for 5 yards. Did you see that?
Oh yeah.
He's just crawling.
They hit him, and he's putting his hand on the ground and just hopping.
Yeah, that was
he's
hilarious.
Some kind of injured duck or something.
But we've got DJ Dallas hits that, breaks 300 tackles for 50 yards for a touchdown. Then Miami kicks it off, and then that's where Florida throws the interception.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
They it goes off the receiver's hands. It goes right into Amari Carter's hands.
Carter returned for 22 yards to the Florida 25.
Both interceptions could have gone for 6 if they'd have really paid attention.
Yeah.
If they'd have really just not just like we got an interception, they just really wanted to return it for a touchdown.
Yeah.
They probably could have, both of them. But after that, Miami gets kind of put in an awkward spot, and they fake the field goal, and there's a hold on the play. And then, as Bubba Baxa, who they toss it to, our kicker, is running, they nail him probably about 2 yards out of bounds.
Yeah. Well, no, we had Bubba ran for the 4 yards. You got offensive holding. So then it was fourth and 7. Then Florida got unnecessary roughness. That's when they
that's
Bubba out of,
if it was you don't hit Bubba out of bounds, we're taking it back and we're having to kick it.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty tough field goal because I think it was like 42 yards or something like that. And Bubba runs it all the way inside the 10. So you're wiping out that play too, like all that momentum. And then you hit him 2 yards. He's off the white line, I'm pretty sure, by the time they hit him.
Yeah.
And that kid got chewed out for probably 30 minutes.
Yeah.
They just kept showing him on TV just getting chewed out.
Yeah. They kept going back.
And it's like, bro, like, what are you doing?
Well, yeah, because the unnecessary roughness was 4th and 7 at the Florida 22.
Mm-hmm.
So then that puts you guys 1st and 10 at Florida's 11. And then you have Jaron has the incomplete pass to Mallory.
Mm-hmm.
DJ Dallas has the 1 yard run.
And then Jeff drops the pass. Very crucial touchdown.
That was the winning game pass. And then not only to that, you guys
beautiful throw, bro.
Missed the field goal.
Yeah, then Bubba misses the field goal, which is the closest one he'd kicked all game. And,
he's hitting 42 yarders at the beginning of the game and can't hit a 27.
Bubba's a sophomore, I think. Which I think nonetheless, I think it's just kickers nowadays are just, there's so much riding on them in this game, in these games of college football, that, it just really, it's all highlighted to the fact that on offense, there really is just nobody blocking.
Yeah.
You're literally just, your playbook is very small. You can't run because as soon as you go to hand it off, even though Dallas has a lot of yards, once you hand it off to Dallas, he's getting nailed. And you're just having these like 3rd and 4th efforts where there was even that one play Cam Harris ran, pretty sure in the 3rd quarter, he ran it all the way to like the 2, and they call a holding and pull it all the way back. Yeah. It's probably another 50-yard run. They pull it all the way back. And it's just like, it feels like every good play, you're like, what's the flag this time? Because there's got to be one. I don't remember.
Miami caught the ball, and he went down on his knee.
Oh, yeah, that was at the end of the game.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And because this was, Miami missed the field goal. Then then Florida comes out, and I think they wind up punting it again.
Well, after that, when Bubba misses the field goal, we get a touchdown from Florida. That's when we have our 4-play, 80-yard drive.
Mm-hmm.
That's when, okay. And remember, I'm a Florida fan.
Oh, okay.
This is when Felipe runs the ball in for 3 yards and thinks he has carried the team the whole game and is celebrating like he's won the game.
Yeah.
This joker needs to grow up. Felipe, if you're watching this, you need to grow up. Okay? That's all I'll say about that.
This wasn't his interception, was it?
No.
His interception was after. Yeah, so somehow Miami gets the ball back.
This is
I don't
afterwards.
remember.
So we get the touchdown, and then Miami gets the ball back.
Yeah, because after Miami misses the field goal, they throw that 66-yard bomb on Gilbert Frierson, who's technically a striker, which is like a safety, linebacker, corner hybrid. He's having to play corner because one of our dudes is suspended. Nobody really knows what happened. Like he gets suspended. And,
this is Miami's drive.
Then Florida throws a bomb, and that's the only good pass Franks threw all night. And they wound up scoring off of that. And then Miami marches down.
Yeah, that's right, Josh Hammond. Yeah, 65 yards. And then you guys come back all the way to Florida's 30, and you attempt 4th and 9, and you get sacked.
Yeah, we go 4 on 4th with like 4 minutes and 30 seconds left.
And here we go. Here's Tyler's moment to shine. Miami's at the 30, Florida's 30, 4th and 9. You get sacked. Florida gets the ball back. First play, what does Franks do after he's done celebrating his 3-yard run for a touchdown? interception.
I don't know what he's doing. I don't know who he's throwing to or anything.
He was throwing to Miami.
Obviously.
More specifically, Finley.
Because there was nobody. There was probably 4 verts. No one Dan Mullen, but it was an outside guy that was running a vert. It was the only guy near him, unless he gets hit while he threw it. But it goes right to Romeo Finley, who could have took that one to that. He could have housed that one if he really wanted to.
I think he got hit after he completed the interception pass.
Yeah, because he gets hit because he's sitting there laying on the ground like he's hurt. And
Felipe, grow up. You're over here, Felipe, grow up.
And it's
grow up.
And then we come out on offense, and it's just like we just keep going back. Then it's 4th and 34, and we're like,
so yeah, it's 10 plays, Miami.
And by this point, Justin's like, he's got a baby, so he's like packing up his stuff, like halfway standing up, and then
And this is, you have to tell him, this is Tyler's older brother.
Yeah.
Who is like more diehard Miami than Tyler.
I don't know about that.
I think, don't quote me on this, but he might stab somebody over Miami.
Yeah, Justin's really into the game.
Yeah.
I usually try to think too much when I watch football. Like, I'm trying to like figure out what everybody's doing. Why would I? I'm not playing, but it's like football's a very thoughtful game for me when I watch. Like, yeah. I'm not like always overly excited. Very passionate about Miami.
Yeah.
When I talk about it, it's like I'm not the one to like jump up and like holler. But when we lose, it's very much a very big ordeal for me. But,
yeah, I mean, I usually don't holler for football games, but I was getting excited. And now this was the most stressful of the entire.
But no, just
game.
the 4th down. The 4th down, we'll cut to there because nothing had happened before that.
Well, what we've got for this drive for Miami: 10 plays, minus 2 yards, 4 minutes and 8 seconds of possession. The last 4 minutes of the game. Let's talk about it.
So you just cut back at sacks, flags, whatever. It's 4th and 34. Miami is on their own 34-yard line. It's a 4th and 34.
Yep.
They throw it 4 verts, which is what else you gonna do? And Jeff Thomas is about 10 yards short of the first down marker, and they grab him and like throw him down.
Yeah.
For a pass interference. And I told Justin, I was like, that's a pass interference play. And Justin's like, okay. And I was like, no, that's automatic first down. And Miami gets the ball again on a first down.
Yep.
Then it cuts again. Miami is now 3rd and 12 on the 50. And then another pass interference play. Yep. And it's like, bro, it's just like.
I was getting mad.
Me and Justin were like, we're going to have a heart attack if Miami winds up winning this.
I was getting mad.
And then, basically after that is just
Yeah, it's 1st and 10. You get a complete pass to Harley for 12 yards. Then you try to pass to Harley again. It's incomplete. Then it's 2nd and 10. You get sacked by Campbell, loss of 2, and then 3rd and 12, 4th and 12. 3rd and 12 were they the questionable flag, right?
The corner route to Brevin.
Yeah.
And to the people blaming Brevin Jordan for this game, you guys are retards, bro. Like, Brevin Jordan's probably one of our better players on the team, too. You'll see what I think this Miami's team would look like is probably Brevin Jordan, Will Mallory, and then DJ Dallas will really be your staples of this offense. And then Brevin runs a corner route to a beautiful throw. And the Florida guy, it's a questionable call. I think you throw it. They played it right, but I'm not sure it's necessarily a pickup flag. I mean, that one's like, it's a toss-up, man. They called it no flag, it's like, yeah. If you'd have called it a flag for Miami, it'd have been obviously really great. But a no flag for Florida, it's like, yeah, it's not really a flag. Like, it's really hard to tell.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, he had his hands up.
I don't know, man. He kind of hits
a little early. If the glove doesn't
early.
fit, you must have quit. That's all I'll say about that.
You don't need to talk to me about that. And then, just basically time runs out after that. 4th and 12, Jared tries to make something happen. Just can't really do it. But, man, it was – what I really hate is we could have beat Florida really easily.
Or you could say that for both teams. Miami had a chance to put 12 points on the board, we'll say. Maybe more, maybe 15 points on the board that they didn't get.
Yeah.
Florida, had an opportunity for maybe 6 that they didn't get. So, still, if they would have got those points, that puts Miami in the lead.
I did say, though, I don't know if I said it on here, but I definitely did tell people. I said Miami is either going to win pretty big or they're going to lose close. I didn't think Miami had it in them to win close.
Well, I mean, last week I thought you said 42-0.
I did at one point, yeah. And my original, you got me mad. My original guess was 24-13.
Yeah, and I
or 21-17. Then or 24-17. You picked the same thing, and so I went 13.
Yeah, I said it was going to be by a field goal.
Yeah, 4 points. Yeah.
Yeah, Florida, Miami's always by a touchdown or a field goal.
If you took the under and you took the -7 or the +7 on the spread, or the -7, then Jesus, you made a lot of money because the over/under was like 46.5. The under and Florida was a 7-point favorite. So if you took less than 7 and under, I would not have taken those. I would have took the under bet for sure. With the fact of the matter, I said Miami either has it and they pull it all together, and they win by probably like 14, which they probably could have done. Beat Florida by 14 if they really, if John Campbell was somebody at least a little bit better. And then I said, or Florida would win close, which they did. Florida literally won last couple seconds, where Miami really showed not its immaturity, but just how young we are. Those kids that don't really. Jaren had a couple bad mistakes where he's not looking downfield after the play, or he's like trying to throw it and he's fumbling it, and we're barely getting to it.
Yeah,
and it's just like, but the Jaren at the press conference after the game, we'll just kind of cut to some stats and stuff after the game. But Jaren blames the whole sack situation on himself.
Oh, really? See, I didn't get to watch his conference.
He said all the 10 sacks that they had are on me. And he said I wasn't getting rid of the ball, and a lot of other – I don't want to misquote anything he's saying, but it's a lot of self-aware stuff, which maybe –
I disagree.
Maybe 2 of those sacks are on him.
Yeah, I disagree completely.
But, but man, it was – I hate to keep him coming out, calling his name, but that right tackle is just, man. It was like, it didn't matter if they put Zuniga on him or if they put the linebacker on him.
Yeah, you see Zuniga went out in the 4th. His finger was hurting.
Yeah, but he came back, I think. Well. But Zuniga's really good. And I think that's when they were putting the linebacker on Campbell just because Campbell wasn't blocking anybody. And then they were putting Zuniga on Zion Nelson to overload it with the blitz. And I think Zion did a good job of holding Zuniga off, but he's not very aware, which I think you can attest.
He did the best he could.
Yeah, I think you just say, that's
he did the best he could.
I think you just say, that's about all you can ask for.
I was really impressed with, just to get with like post-game talk, I was really impressed with Florida's defense.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to be.
I was very, as I've said before, I was very unsatisfied with Franks. Yeah. He's starting to get this cocky. It's like first game of the season, and he's already cocky, Mm-hmm. I don't like that.
He's like...
Did you see what he did at the end when they won? He ran to the corner of the stadium and punted the ball into the crowd. I'm like,
it's like there's playing with a chip on your shoulder, and then there's like putting the chip there yourself.
Which I know, the rivalry, but have some class.
It's like, man, you put the chip there yourself, brother.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody like really saying you're like, we're just 2 dudes. We've never played college football. If you're really gonna take and say we think you suck or whatever. Like that's your chip on your shoulder, then brother. Miami's quarterback Rozier last year got booed every play. Yeah. I was at those games. I did not boo him. Justin did a little bit, But, man, like...
You know, I was really waiting for Nkosi Perry to come out.
Yeah, there was a couple people that...
That was a joke.
No, but there's a serious part to it, though. There are people that really thought Jaren played terribly.
Yeah, I don't get that.
You're delusional, brother.
Yeah, Jaren Williams, like we said before, 19 for 30, 214 yards. He was chased.
No interceptions. No interceptions.
Yeah.
Gets sacked 10 times and doesn't throw an interception.
Yeah, Jaren had 14 carries with negative 44 yards. He averaged
Well, they count sacks as
well,
rushing yards.
no, yeah,
in
that's what
college.
I'm including.
Okay.
Because he didn't really run the ball that much. He was just running away.
That's one thing I do
getting
hate
sacked.
about NCAA stats is they count sacks as lost rushing yards.
Yeah, like we said, DJ Dallas, 12 carries, 95 yards. Jeff Thomas, 1 carry, 16 yards. And Tate Martell, 1 carry, minus 1 yard.
Tate Martell played way too much. There's so many good receivers we have on this team. And why he's lined up running a regular old receiver route where Florida's just leaving him wide open. Like, you're not going to throw it to this guy.
Yeah.
And we didn't.
So what do you think going forward? Like, so let me start with my first question. Who gets MVP for Miami in your eyes?
In this game? Or
This game.
I think it's a toss-up between Dallas and Jaren. I think Dallas ultimately, and maybe Brevin too.
I would give it to Brevin.
Brevin's a close one.
I was going to give it to Jaren, but I'm going to give
If
it to
Brevin has to block more as a tight end, I would give it to Brevin. But Brevin's just not a good blocker. They're not going to block him. So they're just going and making him run routes. But I think it's Dallas. Dallas had over 40 yards receiving, ran for 95. But you take away that 50-yard run, and it's like, but you could say that with anybody. You take away Francis' 66-yard passes.
But he had to work for that 50-yard run.
Yeah.
He definitely earned it.
Yeah, and it's I think you give it to Dallas because Dallas is becoming the backbone of this team. Like, he really loves Miami.
Well, he's got that old
our
school
acquaintance that we know gets text all the time.
Yeah.
From that jugger. I've been told.
Dallas has that old school mentality.
Yeah,
You
and
know
he's not
when-
even from Florida. He's from Georgia,
Yeah.
and he loves Miami. He loves the school. He's the biggest advocate you'll see ever. If somebody trash talks Miami or recruit trash talks Miami, he's like in their mentions the next minute, and he just does not take any smack off nobody for what Miami is. And I think that's ultimately why I think he's the MVP is just because he means a lot to what this team did in that game.
Yeah, and just some basic team stats. Miami, 301 total yards. Florida, 306.
I was really surprised Florida had 5 more yards than we did.
Yeah. Turnovers, Miami had 1, which that was a beautiful turnover in my opinion. But Florida had 4.
What was that turnover?
That was when it was like 4th and 9th. You guys went for it.
Oh, that
fourth quarter,
counts as a turnover.
And that's when
right.
we turned around and threw the interception.
Yeah. I forgot that counts as a turnover.
First downs, Miami had 20, Florida had 17, and Miami had possession of 36 minutes, 13 seconds. Florida had 23 minutes. I loved the game. It was very stressful. Dan Mullen said, let me find it. Yeah, Dan Mullen said in his press conference, last 5 minutes of the game, I aged 10 years. That was exhausting.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to say, I was pleased with a bunch of stuff with him. Mullen said one of the things he knows we're going to put the game in his hands, and there's some teachable moments in there, some things he can continue to learn. But I think he knows we have the confidence in him to make plays. That's what Dan Mullen said about Felipe Franks.
I don't know about that one, Ross.
Putting the ball in Felipe Franks' hands. If that man cries on the field again,
I don't know about that one, boss.
the other interesting thing, which, Tyler doesn't obviously follow Florida that much, so that's why I try to talk more about the Miami aspect of it, because this is, the Miami side. So the one thing that Manny Diaz said that, really reminds you of that old school Miami, his opening statement.
Oh, I think you should say, yeah.
I thought our guys, this is Manny Diaz, I thought our guys played with a lot of courage. I think they played with a lot of effort. But it doesn't matter because we lost the game. We did not come here to play with courage and effort. We came here to win the game, and it's not okay at the University of Miami ever to lose to the University of Florida. Everybody in that locker room feels the pain of that right now.
That's why they have written down. We have like all the stats on our show sheet.
Yeah.
And then after that, I wrote, there are no moral victories in trying hard.
Yeah.
Like last season, which he's going on, maybe is on record saying this, that when we would be losing, all of our players would have this like real far away look in our eyes, like we weren't gonna win, and it showed a lot of resiliency in what we were doing on offense, and like we could have won, we just didn't.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of people like, Miami could beat Florida. You take away the 2 tackles, put somebody different. And it's like, well, then no, we couldn't have beat.
Yeah.
That's not the same.
It's a completely
team.
different team.
You can't say we would have beat them. You can only beat Florida. You can only say we would have beaten them if we could have beaten them with the team we had, which I think we could have, while giving up 9 sacks. But I will say there is a stat going around that no team has given up more than 10 sacks in a game and gone on to win more than 9 games in a season.
I believe it.
And Miami always breaking the mold. So.
Well, we'll see. We'll see on that one.
It's
the thing that that I'm gonna be looking for this season, and the thing that I'm kind of doing is remember when we used to play NCAA and you had the road. You could do like the solo where you do the road to whatever.
Road to glory, yeah.
And that's what I feel like this is.
Yeah.
I feel like Jaron is doing the road to glory. Him being a freshman, with him coming week 0 being, this good in our eyes, you've got so much potential to grow.
Yeah, for sure.
The question I have is with Thomas, missing the 2 biggest plays of the game, how's that going to affect him mentally?
Yeah.
Now, like I said last week, he's bunking with KJ. KJ was excellent.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't have any show-stopping plays, but
he's going to be your Braxton Berrios. He's going to just be solid.
Yeah.
The Miami fans know the name Braxton Berrios, obviously, but he's just going to be a solid guy. He's not going to make some flashy plays, catch double coverage, or catch the ball and break 4 tackles and score. He's going to catch everything you throw at him.
Yeah.
And that's been the mantra, what everybody's been telling us the whole spring and summer of what this kid's been doing.
Yeah, so I mean, I think with Dallas and Jaron, you've got an Osborne. I really want to see what Tate's going to do this season. I don't know if he's going to last.
They said Tate was very, very excited to play receiver. They said that it was Tate's idea to play receiver.
But I'm wondering if he's able to.
Oh, I get what you're saying. I don't think he should have played receiver as much as he did. I said that a lot, but it's definitely his idea, according to Manny Diaz and all that, who just had a press conference earlier today as we're recording this. And
yeah,
I don't think Tate should have played that much. It really concerns me that we don't have another right tackle that's better than John Campbell. But it depends on how good you get these kids to bounce back. You get 2 weeks. You get 2 weeks of sit down time with them. Like, get it in your head. So this season is not over. This isn't over until we play Clemson in the ACC championship game, because there's nobody else on your schedule that's even remotely good. I'm sorry. Virginia Tech is losing a ton of players through transfers.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech just literally switched from the triple option to a complete opposite in the spread. So, like, you had a triple option team, wing T guy retire, and you're bringing in a completely opposite offense. So all the big names in the Coastal Division are gone. We don't have to play Clemson in the middle of the season. Luckily, we play Florida. We play Duke, who no longer has Daniel Jones. I mean, Virginia is our toughest schedule and our toughest game. While they did beat us last year, Bryce Perkins only threw for like 92 yards in that game, their quarterback. It somehow beat us. That was the infamous game where Kosi gets pulled out like halfway through the game in favor for Jaron, in favor for Rozier for no real reason. And this season could be really good. There's a lot of bright spots. It's very worrisome though.
Yeah.
With the tackles, it's not as dim and grim as a lot of people say.
We got to see too is Miami going to let this loss to Florida hinder them?
Yeah.
Because the mentality after the game, the fans were,
I kept saying the whole day Saturday. Justin was making fun of me, but I was like, if Miami loses, I'm not going to be that mad. And I was like, because we have so many excuses. We have 2 freshman tackles. We have a freshman quarterback. We got a brand new offensive staff, brand new head coach. There's so many things you can blame us on.
Yeah.
But it was the fact that we could have won. That it's just like, man, it made me so much more upset than I thought it would. Because I was like, if we lose, we lose. But it was like, we had it. We could have won, should have won, and here we are with a 0 in the win column right now when there should be a win.
Yeah,
and that's what really gets me.
I think Miami needs to show up this season and show out so that they can get some good recruits.
Yeah.
It's going to be, Jaron depends on it.
Because your worst position right now are offensive line and linebacker. And you might be saying linebacker, but after Shaq and Pinkney leave and McLeod, there's literally no linebackers.
And that's what I'm talking about. It's their senior year.
Yeah.
They literally skipped the draft to come back and, take hold of the turnover chain. When they leave next season.
A real big bright spot in the game was I thought the defense as a whole, they gave up 2 big chunk plays. But I think other than that, they held Florida to very, very little. Yeah. Other than they scored a touchdown off of the fumble on the punt.
Yeah.
So that's from the 11.
But Felipe had time.
Yeah.
There was the tackles for loss that we saw last year.
Well, Miami wasn't full on rushing yet with 4 guys.
I know.
They were because of the Michigan game. You seen Felipe motion out and go 5 wide and run a lot of QB draws.
Yeah.
Which he's 6'6", 240 or whatever.
Yeah.
And Miami was dropping at Jonathan Garvin back and only rushing 3 linemen in order to spy Felipe so he couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So they were sacrificing pass rush for just good coverage, and Miami held it all but 1 play, other than the first drive by Florida, which you could say is an anomaly for considering what happened in the game. Because Miami shut down the Michael P. Ryan pretty much for the whole game.
Yeah, held him really good. So, so let's say you're Manny.
Yeah.
This week off, what would you do? What would you focus on?
Man, I don't think you can really make your offensive line much better in 2 weeks. So I think the only thing is you focus on help coverage over the top, which was a kind of a big deal because they were bombing them downfield, and Franks was just missing.
Yeah.
So I think you got to get Amari Carter and Gervin good in your safety help coverage because that really is what got Florida a lot of momentum. They beat Frierson, who plays kind of like a hybrid safety corner role linebacker. He's not as fast, and they beat him deep with no help over top. So I think it's one thing you really help. Just assure up your defense and just hope the offense is fine due to the fact of competition.
Yeah. Yeah, and Manny said obviously we have a young offensive line. They've got an experienced front that we knew would give us some trouble, talking about Florida. Manny also talked about the penalties. And then I thought a crucial point in the game was when we got the big interception. And it just shows we're not ready to be a big-time team yet. We get a 15-yard penalty for taunting. And on the next play, we get a 15-yard penalty for a chop block. We gave away 30 yards on really what might have been the winning change of possession. Play the game. Yeah. And that just means we don't have the maturity level to see a victory through. So, again, that's a process of what we have to learn, and we're obviously not there yet. And I agree completely, and that goes back to you got a lot of freshmen. You don't have that mentality. You start getting behind, and we saw it. The Miami players got behind, and they lost their mentality. They lost momentum.
Miami right now is at a really rough, a really weird, interesting spot because Al Golden left this team in a pretty bad shape, and Mark Brick kind of builds it up. And his his first season, he didn't get a lot of people. His second season, he got a ton of kids because we went 10-0. We're number 2 in the country. And then his last season, we didn't get a lot of good people out of much of anything in the recruiting portal, or I guess you could say. Yeah. And And it just shows that the cupboards aren't bare, but it's not a good spot for the long term for Miami in terms of, Alabama's always reloading, Clemson's reloading.
Yeah.
And Miami is like, we're there. Like, we're getting there. We have the top end, but there's no substance underneath. If a Shaq or a Pinkney gets hurt, the season could turn out very, very, very bad.
Yeah.
If one of those dudes gets hurt, because then you're playing a true freshman, a kid who's barely 200 pounds at linebacker, and it's like, man, because we're losing kids to the transfer portal because Shaq and Pinkney came back. And it's like, yeah, great, they came back. We really needed them to come back because they're way better than the kid that transferred. But then the kid transferred. We played with four scholarship corners against Florida. And, I mean, to play as well as we did in pass defense, other than the missed tackles and the deep bomb, Miami played really well in pass defense. So I think that just really shows that Miami on defense is in a good spot, but it's very, very top-heavy in the linebacker position. Defensive line is probably our best position, other than probably quarterback, because I think all three quarterbacks could play. They've probably done almost as well as what Jaron did, but Jaron's another freaking nature. But our defensive line is probably our deepest position, and they were dropping a guy back to spot is why you didn't see him. Yeah. And we had probably one of our best D tackles in Nesta Silvera, who's a sophomore. He's not going to be able to play for a couple more weeks.
What's up with DJ Ivy?
No one really knows yet.
I just saw that he violated team rules.
Yeah, that was the same thing they got Jaron for last season. They got Kosi for last season. That may have been he didn't show up for the meeting. He overslept. Didn't turn in something for. I mean, violation of team rules. It really just means just about anything.
Yeah.
Which it means
it shows how good Manny's taken seriously, though.
Yeah, it shows this is I think Mark Richt took it very seriously too. No, that's not what you were saying, but it's Mark Richt really held down this team and held them to a pretty high standard when it comes to like academic and off the field stuff. And then you got where Manny's really just keeping that honed in and saying, this is a small grievance, but everybody else did it right. You were the only one that didn't do it right.
Yeah.
He said this was a very easy team one of the easiest teams he's ever been a part of, other than the one suspension from DJ Ivy, is what I seen he said today.
Wow.
And so there's a lot to unpack with the way this game went, man. It's rough for me at the moment still, because I really think we could have won pretty easily by quite a bit. I mean, that's just me being biased, of course.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, winning's winning at the end of the day.
I mean, you guys, it's not the fact that you guys, win, but
no, it is. It's the
fact that you get to say you won until, 2024. It's like, bro, we could, isn't it just, well, we could have won. It's like, no, we could have won with the bums that we had on offensive line. We could have won.
Yeah, but could-have's, whether
as I was saying, you say that, and it's like,
whether you win by an inch or a mile.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're like, well, all you have to say is, well, we won. And then it's like, well, you won.
Yeah.
What are you supposed to say?
But, Miami had their good run. And Florida's always, been having to put her head down when it comes to Miami-Florida games. And,
What does that mean?
We're used to losing.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, lately.
The last 8-9 games.
Yeah, lately, yeah.
You guys are winning, so. It's just nice that my generation gets to experience,
It's a
2024 starts the home-to-home
yeah
contract again, right?
Yeah, 2024, I think. Yeah, they play Gainesville first, and then I think they go to Miami at 25. 2021, we play opener at Alabama. That could be fun. But I'm really interested. What do you think the threshold is for Miami? Like, if they don't win a certain number of games, then Manny's not the guy. I know you're not.
That's tough because in my heart's heart, I feel like Manny is the guy.
Yeah, for sure. As I'm saying, this season, I don't think the wins matter. Is what I was going to say.
I don't think you can specifically pin it on Manny if you guys lose, though, because the roid rage he showed in second quarter. Just
more emotion than I think Mark Richt showed all 3 years combined.
Yeah. You can tell that, man, he's serious about it. He's passionate about it. He's dedicated to it. And,
he understands.
His dad was at the game.
Yeah.
And, he has a name that he has to live up to.
When you have Michael Irvin on game day going on, for 10 minutes about why he loves Manny Diaz, then what else do you need? I mean, Michael Irvin he's Miami. If there's one guy that embodies Miami, it's Michael Irvin. And when he's like, this guy understands it, this guy knows what he's doing. It may not happen this year or next year, but you best believe it's coming to fruition at some point, and it's going to happen.
No.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think this season is a
if you guys lose every game, then obviously something's wrong. But I think you guys have a good season ahead of you.
I think the only person you could pin this one on this season if something bad happens is maybe Dan Enos.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Just fire Dan.
Yeah.
And then next season, if it's bad again,
just get another
then get rid of Manny.
But I think the foreseeable future for 2019, I just want to start as our season has started and we know kind of where we're at. I don't think the season really matters as to what happens because I think ultimately we'll wind up playing Clemson no matter what.
That's going to be a good game.
And maybe.
Well, it's going to show Miami the
that's
true
what
test.
this shows. Yeah, because this I get that. Yeah, because it shows Miami where are you at.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, then I mean I don't know what to say after that because this just shows you. Here's the graph. Here's where Clemson is. How close are you to them?
Yeah. So final end of the season. What do you think Miami's going to be ranked?
I mean, nobody inflated.
It's hard because they don't.
If they win out the rest of the season, I could see them being top 10.
Yeah. What do you think Florida has?
Man, that's a rough one. I don't know if Florida beats many teams.
I see Florida's top 15. Top 20 at the least.
I don't see them beating the likes of LSU. They beat LSU last season.
I think they're going to work on a lot of the things that. I just got to wait to see what Franks is going to do.
Your line is not that good either. Miami just dropped back.
Yeah,
I'm saying they could have pressured. They could have pressured Franks all night.
Yeah,
which I think they did. Excuse me, at the beginning.
Yeah,
but Franks was kind of getting loose, and it's like, okay, just no pass rush whatsoever. On runs, we'll go after it, but on passes, no way. We'll just drop back. Just let him try to win the game by himself, and he couldn't. Although they did wind up winning.
Florida's defense won the game
for sure.
Well, I mean,
I think Miami's tackles.
Tony and
I think Miami's
Hammond.
tackles lost the game.
But
and Jeff.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much we pretty much.
Yeah, this
we've
point,
squeezed the lemon.
Yeah, at this point, yeah.
So,
let's preview. I really want to talk about this. During the game, it kept popping up for 2 hours.
Yeah. I was hoping you'd bring this up.
I almost forgot about it, but Andrew Luck retires, and that's really hard to see because that's one of the first quarterbacks, in my lifetime. Like I said, I think I said this last time. Maybe I was just telling somebody, but there's guys in the NFL now that are kind of winding down in their career that I'm like, man, I saw him play college football. I remember him getting recruited. I remember him playing in the Under Armour All-American game. I remember him playing at Julio Jones is the one I'm thinking of specifically. I remember him watching his high school film, watching him play in Alabama, watching him play at the Falcons for all these years. And now, not his career is winding down, but he's 29. So, I mean, for a receiver, that's about the max threshold of skill that you're really going to get other than, it starts to plateau a little bit there. But Andrew Luck's probably the first quarterback that I know that I'm like, I knew that kid was good. I knew what made quarterbacks good or whatever. Yeah. I remember seeing him at Stanford.
I'll pop this up on the screen, but that's a screen grab I got.
Man. But this is
he's broken.
This is a once-in-a-generation quarterback who the only person who has beaten him in yards and touchdowns through first 6 seasons is Dan Marino. And what?
Yeah, you can't say anything else.
And it's the Colts get rid of Peyton Manning for him, and the team has been up and in that AFC playoff range, and then the moment they get good, they get a stellar draft last season with Quentin Nelson and Darius Leonard, who both won Offensive Defensive Rookie of the Year, I think, for the AFC, and they, his body couldn't take it no more.
Yeah.
Because he had a shoulder surgery. I don't know why that was so difficult. And he was out for like a season and a half. But that whole time, just to put it into perspective of why Colts fans were probably booing, they were like, no, Andrew Luck's coming back. He's coming back next week. He's coming back next week. They just kept saying this as it moved progressively down the line, and NFL playoffs came around. They're like, yeah, Andrew Luck's not coming back.
Yeah.
And then you play with a backup, and then he gets a good season out of him last season, when they make the playoffs. And it's like, okay, these guys are better, these guys are older, these rookies are better, and then it's like, can't play.
Yeah, it was sad. I have yet to watch his press conference. I'm going to watch it later today, but yeah, and Twitter's going crazy. Twitter can be good, very small amount of times, but it's mostly bad. People are just, they're people. And obviously if you're one of those people, then...
Man, the fans are booing, and that's a really rough way to go, but if you really put it into Colts fans' perspective, they shouldn't have booed, but this is a tough situation for them. And it really just kind of when you put it in perspective, Colts are like, he's coming back next week. He'll be fine this time, and he gets hurt. He'll be fine, and then he gets hurt. And then it's like, we're finally good. And then he's like, bro, I can't take it.
Yeah, I get it. I mean,
he's 28, 29.
He's talking about he can't even pick up his kids because his shoulders hurt so bad, and his knees are hurting. And I get it. He's got a life. And I think Tyler was telling me that he's got an architecture degree from Stanford?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's got something to fall back on. Go get a comfy job somewhere in a big...
I think he'll come back.
You think so?
Yeah, I think he will. I think he'll take probably maybe this season and next season off. And then everybody's saying he's going to wait till Tom Brady retires and then go play with Tom Brady or go play with the Patriots, and that may very well be the case. But he's going to take a couple years off of football, and I think he'll either realize how much he doesn't miss it or how much he does miss it.
Yeah, and he's still young.
I think at that point, he'll either go do architecture or go back and play football.
Yeah.
But I don't see this being a very permanent thing. The only thing is we did our fantasy football drafts probably a month ago at the beginning of August. And one guy in our league drafted Zeke the first round, and the other guy drafted Andrew Luck the first round. And I have Melvin Gordon on all three of those. More than likely when I'll be playing football this season is Zeke and Melvin Gordon are sitting out, and then Andrew Luck's no longer playing football.
Yeah.
So I think you're seeing it more, though, in the NFL. Players I got my concussion, I don't want to play no more. I could keep playing for sure, but no way. I'm 25. I've made $1.5 million, $2 million off football, whatever. I could keep playing this if I want to and make a lot more money, but what's the point if I can't, be of sound mind and do the stuff that I want to do? So it really is. Just see how much it meant to him at his press conference. I watched a tiny bit of piece of it, and you can see Indianapolis is I think the fans are really, really going to regret what they did, but
for sure,
because they're taking their jerseys off, throwing them off the top bleachers, but man, it's you can see how much Indianapolis meant to him, because he literally that team was nothing really when he got it, and then they kind of built their way up to the playoffs. Then they come back down, and then now they're back up.
It's kind of it reminds me when LeBron left Cleveland.
Yeah.
The first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He goes, I don't know. I think these fans are really going to regret it. I don't think Cleveland fans regret what they did at all, even though they have a championship the second time.
Yeah, they don't care. Basketball's a whole different animal. The only other thing is if you guys haven't seen it, I would recommend, which I haven't watched the American Little League World Series game yet.
Oh, yeah.
The blowout, I might not watch it because it was a blowout, but
Very surprised.
Is it Curacao?
Curacao.
Curacao, and Japan was a great ending.
Yeah.
6-7, I believe it was. But I'm gonna go back and watch that game again. I encourage you guys to watch it. So
The American League one was pretty. The American side was pretty much a blowout.
yeah,
And then Hawaii kind of had bases loaded, and the guy on at the plate was the go-ahead runner to win, and he kind of just lines out or strikes out or whatever.
jeez.
And we didn't get to see yesterday. We didn't get to see the final, but Curacao apparently just got whopped by the American team, which I'm surprised because Curacao was the first team ever to beat South Korea and Japan in the same
Wow.
bracket at the same time. So
It's I'll have to send you the clip, but after Louisville won, the pitcher threw his glove up.
Louisiana.
Louisiana.
Yeah.
Same difference. He threw his glove up in the air, and he turns around. He gets hit right in the face with the glove.
Man.
But yeah, I mean that's, from my knowledge, that's pretty much all that's going on this past week.
Yeah, we're gonna do the way this will kind of work is we'll do one after the Miami game, post game, kind of wrapping it up. I want to do 2 a week, but this one was a lot to talk about with Miami because I think it was so easy for us to have won it. But
Yeah.
I think every game we may either lump them together, but I really wanted to do 2, do a post game, and then later on in the week do a pregame for the next week. And so we'll kind of talk about Miami and the post game, and then wrap up what's kind of happening in college football. Just some big names that are kind of emerging, and what have you. But the pregame will be exclusive Miami, what's going to happen, and then Andrew will have the other teams' sort of scheme and play style and what they're doing. Even though I pretty much know about every team that will want to play in, but other than maybe like a Central Michigan.
Yeah, I'm probably going to do more of the press conferences for Miami. I'll probably stick to that and do more of like statistics and bringing that side to it. But I'll mostly be focusing on the opposing team.
Well, Andrew will get more of the hard evidence as to what happened, what people have said, and then I'll just be the guy that clearly just knows what's the in and outs of the team. Yeah, who this player is, what he's supposed to be good at. If he's playing to his potential, if he's playing the way he's supposed to. Yeah, I'll really talk about the ideals of a Miami team and what it's supposed to look like, and if that's what we're ultimately looking like. So
yeah, and if you guys made it this far in the video, we just want to say thank you. Leave us a comment below. Tell us what you think. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe. You can also check out Tyler's Twitter.
Somewhere.
I'll have it linked somewhere. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and then we'll obviously post a posting schedule.
Yeah, we'll have an Instagram too.
Yeah,
that's coming. I'm gonna try to get on that today after this. Then we'll have that in the description also. But I mean.
Yeah, and just share it with everybody if you enjoyed it. Yeah. Anything else you want to add?
No, not really. Go Canes.
This is going to get edited out.
Trio 5. MIA. Dean County. Y'all already know what time it is. Throw them U's up. Throw them U's up. We gonna let the band deal with this.